All right, welcome everybody, and we are continuing with our study of global connection, and we're looking at this section at section 2.6, and we're looking at the environmental consequences of connection. So this is going to look at what were the consequences that the networks of exchange had on natural things, and the two main categories are going to be plants and diseases. All right, so when we're talking about plants, we're talking about food plants that are going to be used and the diseases that will follow. So we have our map here, and we're going to follow this one right here and look at how fast disease spread. Lemons come from here. These are fruits. Lemons come and they arrive at, around, you know, early in the Christian era. And by 900, they've made their way to Egypt, etc. And we know ancient Rome had lemons and other citrus fruit from some of the archaeological remains that are found there. So they had been a long time coming, but let's look at disease. You're talking about a situation it's taken quite a while for things to spread into Afro-Eurasia from this part of the world, Southeast Asia. Let's look at the bubonic plague, though. The bubonic plague is brought into China by the Mongols. And we see it's reaching China around 1334. By 1336, it's in Delhi. Then it's in East Asia, it's in Western Asia. It's getting into Africa by 1349, and by 1347, it's in Constantinople. And then it's going to just take an easy hop, skip, and a jump and start getting into Europe around 1350. And it's going to wipe out half of Europe and large swaths of the rest of the world, wherever it goes. It's taking people out with them. And this 1-2 punch with the Mongols basically overrunning a lot of these areas and then bring bubonic plague hitting it is going to be a massive, massive combination, a 1-2 punch that really devastates history. And our essential question are, what were some of the environmental effects of trade in Afro-Eurasia from circa 1200 to circa 1450? And the result, the environmental effects, you would answer this, some of the environmental effects are the spread of plant life, mostly foodstuffs, and disease. And then you would give the examples. An example of this is the bubonic plague, which was introduced by the Mongols into China around 1334. And by 1347, it is spread all the way to Constantinople. And by 1350, it's in Europe. And you could then mention the similar timeline of things going, foodstuffs going to Africa and Asia from South Asia, and then of course into the Americas after during the Columbian Exchange. So this is really that's it. That's it for this chapter. I mean, some of the foods that are really big are citrus fruits. Bananas are big. They are very high impact into the diet. A lot of different potassium and sugar with starch. It's not necessarily a good substance food, but it is something that can grow. Sweet potatoes are going to come. They're going to develop out of Africa. And with the introduction of these high caloric foods, we have big population growth. Of course, the bubonic plague is going to take care of it. This is an innovation that you see in China. This is terrace farming. It's an example. This is also found in the Americas, in the Incan population. This is, but this is not necessarily. This is not necessarily, again, an environmental. Well, we're changing the environment, so actually, is an environmental change. When you start changing the land like this, though, humans never have a gentle touch. So overplanting, changing the land, deforestation, soil depletion, minerals, creating effect. It's going to have a cyclical effect. It's going to impact Zimbabwe land, which is in Africa, and Europe. And so deforestation and soil depletion are another environmental effect that comes about by man interacting with the environment. And the new foods, they become very popular. And again, some of these pull out more nutrients than they give back to the soil. Another environmental impact is the Little Ice Age that's going to devastate Europe. So combined with soil depletion, the bubonic plague, and the Little Ice Age, it's amazing that Europe is still around. But these are some of the environmental effects. The main two, again, I'm going to restate it because it's important, are plant life that are used for food and the bubonic plague, although you can have the Little Ice Age as particular to Europe. And with the plant life, you can also talk about soil depletion. So how do these books, how do these spread? Well, one big thing was the caravanserai, and this is the place where people from all over the world are meeting along the Silk Roads. And you're sitting by an area, you're sharing a meal, you're in close contact with people, and you have a group of people from one part of the world are mingling with another group of people from another part of the world, and they are spreading bubonic plague all along the Silk Roads, all along the Indian Ocean trade route, all along the Trans-Saharan trade route, and then eventually into Europe. The symptoms, basically, these are the symptoms listed here, just for your information. You don't probably need to report that, but it's good to know. And it was a very uncomfortable death. This is basically, it's spread through breathing and stuff. It's spread that way. It would result in swellings, and then like small little growths would come out. They were called tumors. They would spread over the body, and you'd get purple spots on the arms and thighs. And basically, this would, as these tumors broke out and the larger ones broke out, you would basically know that the person was going to die, and it's not a very long in transmission to death. So one outcome of the bubonic plague, and it's an economic outcome, there are less workers. And that means that workers all of a sudden have a little bit of power because now they're needed to work. And so what happens is the people who are the landowners or anyone else who's hiring workers, for those who lived, their lives economically actually got a little bit better because since, again, it's just laws of supply and demand. The supply of workers is low, the demand is high, the wages have to go up or else people just won't work. So that is another outcome. It's an economic outcome of an environmental change. And again, the two main environmental changes, the consequences are plant life coming into various parts of the world, giving more food supply, and then an outcome of that is population and also changes to the environment and depletion of the resources. Then you have the disease, and disease is going to take care of all that population growth and make a net loss in the time period. And the economic consequence is going to be wages going up. So try to think of it as a flow chart. You have the bubonic plague spreading, population going down, less workers, wages go up. Okay, that's it for lesson 2.6. Have a great day.